years around it. Listening's been a big part of the whole process for us. What was it we did at the beginning? Could you talk about that, the sort of listening exercise that we embarked upon?
So at the beginning, we all went off, our group got together and we went off and identified people that we would go and listen to, and that could be young people that had been coming to the church or young people that had no connection to the church. And that was the initial thing of just talking to some of the young people. We had the set of questions that were provided for us, which was really helpful because that helped us kind of structure what we were looking for and how we would go about kind of having a kind of natural conversation. And that really helped us kind of open our ears and hear what people that maybe had been involved with the church or had no interest in church, how they viewed what we were doing, and really kind of set us on the journey to what we were going to do for this programme we're involved with.
Because quite a lot of the things that we've ended up trying have come from some of those initial conversations around it. One of them was, Jill, with your daughter, with Amy, who said, let's have a holiday club. What happened there?
So I did the listening exercise with my own children, and Amy said, well, why don't you let a young person lead the holiday club? Why, which is all part of the key chain leadership. So again, we talked about that and we let it happen, and it was a great success, and she's going to do it again this year. So
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how many young people came along to that? 20, 25, something children.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And that's linked into Message Church as well, which is carried on, which is another relatively new thing for us. We've been going to Athelstan for it before the union, but it's new there. Joe, you've taken your grandchildren along to Message Church. What do you think of it?
Yeah, our grandchildren love Message Church, and they've been several times, and it's very well appreciated by lots of children in the area, and both Whittingham, Stanton, obviously East Linton, more central, and Athelstan Ford as well. It's been really good, and we've been involved a wee bit. I've been involved in some paired reading in our local primary school. We do that on a Monday morning, and that again is a connection with the young people in the school. And we've taken them out of school sometimes and done some wildlife flowers with them and showing them some of nature's joys, and that's been much appreciated by not only the teachers but also the children, and they've learned a lot from that. Mostly done by Jenny, my wife, who's very into that sort of thing. But that's been a great success, and I think the kids really appreciate that. And Douglas, as a minister, goes to the church, from the church to the school as well, which is lovely. So there's always that connection there.
And a lot of these have been new connections, haven't they? New ideas, new points of contact with families, with children, and kind of getting across the generations, which none of us had as our own ideas before starting. It was all kind of come up through the process. Libby, you've been involved at making along to the Message Church as well, and the last one.
I am new to the Growing Young group, and having just really joined it at the end of its first year, and I'm very impressed by the enthusiasm of the team and their willingness to experiment. They know that, you know that sometimes things perhaps might not work, but you're willing to try. And I got involved with the Message Church for the first time. I brought along my grandson, who didn't know anyone, and he just loved it. And on the way home in the car, was asking me, when's the next one? It's just such a nice atmosphere. The fact that we're 3 churches it's also a good way of getting everyone together, all age groups, because I'm the oldest in the Growing Young group, but there are lots of older people who are willing to help, and it's very inclusive.
I think that's what's been the benefit, of doing this as part of the Growing Young process, is we have been walked through this step by step, starting with the listening exercise, adding to our team with Libby and Pat joining the team. And I think had we not had that structure to follow, I don't think it would have been so organised. I think it sounds from our chat, we've introduced a lot of things, but actually it's been very carefully listened to, considered, prayed about, thought about, that we've been carried on this journey quite in a structured and motivational way, rather than a kind of scattergun of let's just try things. And we've listened a lot. We've been lucky with the other churches that we've been working with, and we get the opportunity to meet up with them at the conferences and can bounce ideas and listen to their ideas, which I think has been I think that's what I've liked is the kind of the structure of the process.
Isabel, you mean, at the start of our growing young process, your children were one of the two of the few that we had and coming along regularly. And that feels like it shifted a wee bit. What would you say is your kind of, in terms of impact, you've noticed or seen since we started the growing young process?
Well, it's quite interesting because when I joined the church, I just had one newborn baby, and I was thinking throughout her life, is this church going to exist in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And now, regularly on a Sunday morning, there tends to be 6 children at the back of church. They're not all the same ones, but usually, if I'm counting, I always get that number. And I think that's just in, just over a year. And there are more people coming, and now that, like we were talking about, the children's area at the back, a small change like that means that I'm now able to share with the other parents that I'm meeting of young children that actually church is somewhere that is accessible. If they want to come, they are going to be most welcome. There'll be something for their children to do, and that's just even down to the juice and biscuits at the end. It's a welcoming space, and it is having an impact in the churches, which is amazing.
I feel there's definitely does feel as if there's a slight beginnings of shift in culture around. Certainly when it comes to noise in a Sunday morning service, you get much more accepting of it, I think, and people are.
Thank you.
Final word, Isabel. Do you have something else?
I was just going to say, and not to worry if you don't have many or any young people at all, because seeing what the other churches have done, it is quite incredible what's coming out from people who maybe even still don't have young people, but other things are coming out through this process, and these churches are starting to thrive in a way that they probably hadn't foreseen before.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.